Hey there, Coastal Bend. Meteorologist Carly Smith here. This is your weather impact forecast. And what we have going on is less rain today. Look at that blue sky trying to show up. It is cooler with more clouds and rain for Labor Day. Additionally, we are headed into an unsettled weather pattern that actually is going to ramp up next week. Hey everyone, it's meteorologist Carly Smith. Thanks for joining this live update. Post any questions you have about the Labor Day forecast. We're going to dive into it in this live update. First, what we are going to start with, that is going to be some watershed levels. So we have gotten some rain. So this is the rain since Monday. Look at that. Some areas in the watershed getting around 2 inches or so, but it is very spotty. It's been hit or miss, and it's not a lot of rain. So what you are seeing here is that Choke Canyon is still only at 20%. Lake Corpus Christi, 36.3 combined lake level is back down to 24.6. So over the last week, it hasn't changed much because we've gotten some rain, but over the last month, remember last month was pretty rainy, we have fallen by 2.3%, which is not great. As far as yesterday goes, Corpus Christi picked up 0.14 inches of rainfall, and now we are seeing just the clouds that were at the top of the thunderstorm that have now basically turned into cirrus clouds as the storm dissipated, showing up on our Lex camera, which is pretty fascinating in itself. But right now it is 87 degrees, feels like 100, so the humidity is going to be on full force today. We'll be in the 90s pretty quickly this afternoon. There is still a low chance for a spotty shower, but that is decreasing as we speak. So this is where the rain is offshore. We are seeing the green showing up, but that's just radar clutter down at the surface, and we get a lot of that just due to how humid our atmosphere is. But all of this rain is going to likely stay off the coast, so it'll be in the Gulf of Mexico. Offshore fishing, we'll have to watch out for those thunderstorms, but otherwise I'm not anticipating much. Yes, there is a chance that we have some spotty showers pick up, especially when the sea breeze kicks in. But what we are noticing in the satellite radar imagery right here is that all of the forcing is right around the Houston area, and that is because we essentially have an upper atmospheric area of low pressure, and air flows from higher pressure toward the lower pressure. So that's taking all of that thunderstorm activity toward the low, and over the surface we're getting more northerly flow aloft, and that's bringing in slightly drier air, just slightly, into the region, which is going to limit our rain chances a bit more today. So you see that upper level energy hanging out well to our northeast. Oops, I hit the wrong button. You see the upper level energy hanging out well to our northeast. This cold front is going to slide south. That's going to keep us with a chance for some energy, especially along the coastline. But one thing I'm going to notice, so there's a couple of things taking place. So first we have our old area and by old I mean the one we were tracking, right? So this is that upper level low that was over Louisiana. It's going to get pushed south as the cold front pushes south as well. But also we have a trough that's really developing on the stationary boundary. So when let me get rid of this. So when we zoom back out, this is essentially high pressure. But when we zoom back out, let's zoom out more. I got distracted by the high pressure. So you see there is air flowing around the high this way, and then it digs with a trough that really develops kind of at the end of this stationary boundary, right? So this is the main trough that's forcing the cold front. But we've got this extra piece of energy that looks like it's going to break off over West Texas. So there's two areas, so like El Paso. These two features, this old one that I mentioned, and then the new one that's going to develop into Monday, could play a role in how much rain we actually see. So what you see happening is, let me clear out everything I drew on here. Well, maybe it won't let me. Okay, so let's go back. We're gonna go back from the beginning. sorry, I'm over analyzing this when I had plans to just go really fast and get through it. So I don't do a lot of the stuttering and stuff, but I think this is helpful also. It just depends on what you're looking for on the internet, and sometimes the fast stuff is easier to click, go through and get it over with. But this is a live update, so we can really do whatever we want. Yeah. Anyway, so watch that feature over the Gulf of Mexico. Watch the feature that's over West Texas. As we continue on, you see the weakening Gulf of Mexico feature. So if that high pressure, so I had drawn on a high over here. The high is now just south of Brownsville. If that high holds on strong enough, that piece of energy over the Gulf of Mexico won't make it back into South Texas. If that were to happen, our rain chances would actually boost a lot more. But what I'm seeing is San Angeles, the big country region of Texas, getting in on a little bit more rainfall with this pattern, keeping that upper level trough kind of riding along the stationary boundary and then bending it out a bit as we head into next week. I want to zoom back in. We have this nice high that's developing over Florida as well. So these two areas of high pressure may create actually a little wave or a tropical low, an inverted low. May try to develop in between these two areas of high pressure. I can't draw anything because we're not at a pause point. Anyway, so we have a high here. Now the high is over here, and we do get this little inverted low that may move in. So it's not a 0% chance we get an inverted low, but I think with this high pressure over the Four Corners region kind of strengthening into next week, that's going to try to push. So remember, in July, we had the pattern set up where there's a lot of dry air coming in around that high pressure that sets up over the Four Corners region. This is going to be what's in play again heading into the second half of next week. So that's going to be Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you really see that pretty nicely in this precipitable water play out. So this is going to make it look a lot like that pattern that we saw during last month. It is still August, so during July, we were in this pattern where we had the stationary boundary kind of setting up very similar to this one, which is separating the really humid air from the really dry air. That's John Thomas's hand if you saw that. But what we see is the high pressure over the Four Corners area is digging south or strengthening, and that's going to push drier air out of the northern plains down into West Texas, Central Texas, and that's going to set up a really, really humid atmosphere for South Texas, because instead of the Gulf of Mexico essentially fuels thunderstorms across the eastern half of the United States, pretty much from the Rocky Mountains east. All of that moisture typically is coming from the Gulf of Mexico. When that moisture gets cut off, because dry air is coming further south than typical, that moisture kind of gets squeezed right over South Texas and kind of wrung out like a towel. And so what we see is that showing up in the forecast for the second half of next week. So rainfall may really trend up a lot as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. Right now, it's too far out to really be confident in any of these scenarios, but this is something that I will be watching closely as this plays out. So yeah, very, very interesting forecast ahead of us. Could lead to some rain, but for now, all of the rain is really going to be a little bit more to our northeast, especially for the next 2 days. So let's go back to this 3-day Labor Day weekend forecast. We'll get through this. I see some comments. I appreciate your comments. It makes these more fun to do, honestly. Rain in the forecast. Hope it cools the weather. Yes, it will be cooler. Right now, we're still going low 90s, so right around 90, Teresa, but the good news is there's a chance we stay in the 80s. Depending on how much rain we see, those temperatures will trend cooler. Kristen's ready for the cooler air. Hey, Yolanda. And San Antonio, Bentonville, stay safe. Thanks, Teresa. Ray said hi to JTK. JTK, you have a fan? He's not listening. Anyway, what we are looking at for your Labor Day weekend forecast, 94 Saturday, 93 Sunday, 91 on Labor Day. So as the rain chances go up, the temperatures do go down. Now, it's not a washout even for Labor Day, but it is worth noting you may have to make some additional plans for grilling, keep things covered, or so forth. So what you see here on Futurecast, this is all the rain anticipated there for kind of southeast Texas. It's still a little hit or miss, but where those heavier bands set up, it will be very kind of tropical in nature. It's not a tropical system, but it is going to be tropical in nature. This is tropical moisture. Once those moisture levels get higher because of kind of feeder bands setting up, then that can really dump a lot of rainfall. So that's what's anticipated more so for southern Louisiana. For us, we're in the drier side of that low that's setting up over Houston. And so that's going to limit our rain chances. And like we saw this morning, keep most of it off into the Gulf of Mexico. Now we are still in a bit of an unsettled pattern, and so you see those pop-up showers showing up from Dallas through San Angelo, San Antonio, and then into the brush country. That's still going to be a possibility every afternoon, just thanks to daytime heating and all of this moisture that we've got going on. That continues on Sunday. Then notice Monday, this is when the stationary front starts setting up. This is when our moisture starts getting wrung out like a towel, and we start to see deeper levels of moisture and essentially the chance of more rainfall setting up across South Texas. Now, as that low kind of moves north toward Memphis, our rain chances will dwindle by Friday. So I kept saying Friday. I really should have said Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday earlier in this update. So if somebody quits watching, I apologize, but you'll get the forecast through the weekend, and then into Monday, we'll still have time to prepare for the heavier rain that shows up. But what we see here in our rainfall forecast for Friday through Thursday, we're trending higher, especially along the coast for some higher end rainfall. And again, that looks to come late Monday into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for us. Now, for anyone that's interested in hitting the water over this Labor Day weekend, it is the rain showers that you're going to have to watch out for. Look, let's go back. Let's go back. Look at all that rain that's setting up over the Gulf of Mexico. Ooh, that will make some hazardous conditions out on the water. Water sprouts, not out of the question. You see Saturday morning, I do expect some offshore showers in the morning. That activity should weaken into the afternoon. Then Sunday morning, we kind of do the same thing, but a little bit more of that forcing is a little bit more east. So we may not see quite as much offshore action on Sunday, but then into Monday, Tuesday, our nearshore waters and across the land, all of that rain starts to go up over into next week. So yeah, that's your rain breakdown specifically for the waterways. Our marine currents right now at the buoy, we've got a west-northwest wind at 9 miles per hour. Wave heights are through. Oh, they just updated. Did you see that? I love it when that happens. Northwest wind now at 9 miles per hour. Wave heights are 3 feet. Wave period every 5 seconds, and pressure is high. The water temperature, even out at the buoy, is 87 degrees, which is wild. Let's go back. I got excited. So this is the Gulf of Mexico view. I have the Texas beaches highlighted, so I haven't adjusted this graphic in a while. Because I've just been showing our current stuff. So you see those tropical waves, they haven't developed, so the wave heights really haven't picked up there in the Atlantic. We'll get into the tropical forecast in just a second. But where we're seeing this low sit up, we do have some 3-foot waves, but a lot of the forcing is taking that away from our beaches. So yes, we have actually some pretty decent surf conditions early on in the morning, especially. And that may linger into Saturday and even Sunday, but a lot of the guidance, especially with more of a northerly flow, is going to take our wave heights down a bit and keep some higher waves closer to Surfside and Galveston. As we continue into the weekend or into next week, look at that, still getting some northeast wind through Port Aransas, so more northeast flow, which is kind of abnormal for this time of year. It's going to help keep us a little cooler. It's going to help bring some rain into the area. And then even as we head into Thursday, still some rain. So one thing to note, let's zoom out and see what the tropics are looking like now. So this would be that system we're watching moving into the Caribbean. So right over here, let's watch what happens in the Caribbean. So this is Wednesday. This is still too far out, so it can still change. But I wanted to show you just so you get a handle of how things are shaping up. Thursday, maybe when we start to see some actual development, that's when the wave height forecasts are starting to show some waves picking up there into the Caribbean Sea. and then it's over the weekend as it approaches the Yucatan. Yeah, it's not. So what we've been saying in this forecast is it's worth watching. So this isn't this weekend. Labor Day is going to be fine, but as we head into next weekend, we will be watching the system a little bit more closely, especially once it gets into the Caribbean, which will be about Monday. Then we'll start to be getting a better handle, because it may have the chance of developing. Once a low actually forms that we can track and put into model data, it makes things a lot easier at being confident on it. But right now it's just way too far out. But you do see as that strengthens, we get the higher wave heights. So if the system makes it into the Gulf of Mexico, again, still too far out to be diving into a confident forecast on that. But if it makes it into the Gulf of Mexico, we will see likely a chance for some increased wave heights. But that won't be until not this weekend, but the next weekend, and probably the coming days heading into not this week, but next week. So in your wind forecast, light winds are in the forecast. So Sunday we may get some 8 to 18 mile per hour winds, but overall we're talking 5 to 15. So pretty moderate conditions for the coastal bend. Here's a look at that convection, all the clouds popping up into the Gulf of Mexico. Not a whole lot of action, again, making it into the coastal bend, but this is going to be an upper level low that mimics tropical activity, but is not it is tropical in nature, but it's not going to develop into anything, is how I will word it. But again, the National Hurricane Center did actually lower that chance of development to 40%. As it makes its way across the Caribbean. How much it interacts with some of those Caribbean islands will impact how well, or the chance that it has of developing as well. But at this point, its confidence is low on the system. So don't look at one model. Like we looked at the European wave forecast. That was showing a decent shot of developing into something a bit stronger as it approaches the Yucatan. But that was 10 days out. So the confidence in the system is low, even right now. Medium chance of development, but only a 40% chance over the next 7 days. So not a lot of confidence. I can't emphasize that enough. In your weekend beach forecast, we're talking temperatures in the 90s, east wind 5 to 15 miles per hour, low rip current risk, but we do have a very high to high UV index the next few days. Waves they've been running higher than the forecast modeling is showing, but 1 and 2 feet, 1 foot, I would say we'll probably have some 2-foot waves out there both days, with Saturday a chance for some 3-foot waves. Finally, we made it to the 7-day forecast. Those rain chances really ramping up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sorry, I got distracted by the comments without even saying what I was doing. But yeah. Hey, Alan, have a great day. Clouds, I love the clouds so much. So if you have cloud photos, send them my way. I may post them. I may reshare them. That is all. Good morning, Lorenzo and Ray. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your time off if you get it. We will see those rain chances boosting. So the weather becomes a little bit more important to tune into, if it's not already important to you, as we head into next week. Now, we do issue these alert days. Now, issue is a strong word. It's not like a warning or a watch from the National Weather Service. Those are the really important ones to pay attention to. We put out days, or our goal with the weather impact forecast is to highlight days that will be more impactful than normal to you. So we don't want to highlight every day we get some rain. If it's a spotty shower here or a spotty storm there, it's not that impactful. It's just like maybe 10 to 30 minutes of rain. Doesn't ruin your whole day, unless it happens to be right at the exact moment you need to be outside, but it's not horrible. Once the rain starts leading toward, higher probabilities of being during the morning commute, the evening commute, or times that are more impactful, cities that have higher populations, streets where hydroplaning can happen or street flooding can happen, then we start to alert you that that day is going to be more impactful rainfall than we've had previously, or you might actually be getting excited about what's in your rain gauge, you know, just little things like that. So not every alert day is a make or break dangerous situation necessarily, but we saw with the heat last week, you know, it can turn dangerous if you aren't prepared for it. Just a few degrees warmer temperature than we're used to. And so anyway, that's just a little tidbit for the end of this live update for anyone that makes it to this point. Thank you again for watching, and I do hope that everyone has a wonderful Labor Day weekend.